So if you want to do a national housing program, I think the first thing to understand is that you want to introduce a product into the market. You don't roll out that product by their hundreds of thousands without being sure that your consumers will accept. So what we have done is to run a pilot program in each state, except I think about 2 states where we don't have land yet. So we're building about 34 states now, running a pilot of bungalows in the north, blocks of flats in the south. We started in January 2017. That's when we were awarded. Some states have finished, have painted, have completed. Some are at foundation, some are at roof level, some are fitting windows, some are fitting doors. In some cases, we had to swap land because the land they gave us did not meet the requirements we asked for in terms of access or contiguity to a road. We didn't want houses. Some of those houses that we saw in the past were built in places where people couldn't access them. So, and in some cases also, we found that some states asked us to come and pay for the land. So I had to write back to the governors to appeal, please take off the cost of the land because it will affect the ultimate cost of the house. And it is for the citizens and residents of your state. So, and some governors like Ogun and I think Rivers too have also agreed to waive the cost. So those delayed our commencement in some of those cases. But what we're doing essentially, to answer our question, we're running a pilot. When we validate that pilot, we have also taken a benchmark of income. We're looking at people who earn about 50,000 naira a month to 66,000 naira a month from around level 8 to those who earn about, I think, level 14 as a benchmark pricing to see whether we can deliver something that they can afford.
Well, that looks a little bit around my salary scale. So that's what you call affordable housing, Honorable Minister?
Yes.
Would that be?
That's it. We want to ensure that, and then you are going to buy houses not by cash, by a mortgage policy to be financed through the Federal Mortgage Bank, especially if you are a contributor to the National Housing Fund. And then we expect that you should not spend more than 30%, 33%, 35% max of your monthly income on your housing payment.
So you think mortgage finance is the way to go?
I know that it is the way to go. Then that is for those who want to own houses. Now, there are some people who cannot afford to own a house. Let us be honest. But they deserve to have a roof over their head. No economy has 100% home ownership. People still rent in the most successful economies in the world. There must be something that allows you to provide for those kind of people. Now, I was just reading that the Housing and Urban Development in the United States, the equivalent of their Ministry of Housing under Dr. Ben Carson, has a budget of $47 billion, and it spends 84% of that on subsidizing people's rent. If you do the calculation, 84% of 47 billion is actually about 39 billion. That's over 12 trillion naira, more than our national budget, on housing, just to pay people's rent.
Would you like to have such a budget?
By all means, why not?
Would you like to subsidize?
By all means, why not? I mean, these are some of the things that make people identify a sense of government presence in their lives. So, but the other point to make is that we need private sector to also collaborate with us, because I still don't see why only government should be leading this front. If there is such a big market that needs housing there, then why can't the private sector service that market?
How big is the market? How much is
well, I haven't done the audit.
You don't seem to agree with some folks who says.
No, I don't agree with unverifiable figures. Every figure that I give you, I can verify. I've given you Ben Carson's numbers. I've given you our energy mix. I've given you numbers about how much we have received in cash. Every figure. Figures are a matter of science. So if you can't verify what you tell me, then it is unproven. So you can't force it down my throat unless you can demonstrate it empirically.
Then, but you want the private sector in. What incentives do you think the government, via your ministry perhaps, should deliver, perhaps with the Ministry of, with the Central Bank of Nigeria and other players or government agencies to come in and help with the private sector?
I think that it simplifies it if you say that, oh, the Ministry of Power Works Housing or the Central Bank of Nigeria or any other ministry. I think it is the Nigerian economy that must move in a particular way. It must improve its competitiveness, and those are things that we're working on. And that's why every time I speak to people, I say, watch the trend in this economy. Watch the trend in how things are turning in a more positive direction from where we came from. Watch the trends in your growing reserves. Watch the trends in your growing PMI, manufacturing heading back. Watch the trends in your capital market. And they portend, as the capital market gets stronger, the next destination for those investments will be your real estate. That is what normally happens. So watch the trend in your growing excess crude account. Watch the trend in your reduced import bills for food. Watch how that is supporting your foreign exchange policy. Watch how the inflation rate is coming down month by month. And watch how the interest rate will come down. And you will know that the economy is clearly heading towards a direction. Now, for some people, that may seem slow. The reality is that it is the other economy, the rent economy, that is quick. And the rent economy was largely driven by process of oil. That is the only thing you can sell in the morning, get the money the following day. But if you plant rice or plant yam, or you want to mine, it's not same-day business. There are businesses of long gestation periods that take time. So if we say we are diversifying, we are serious, we must be ready to walk this long, methodical, but clearly well thought out direction of building the economy on things that are not based on the volatility of political activity that we don't control. The oil prices were forced down by political action that we didn't control. America, Britain went to Libya, opened it up, ended their isolation of Iran in order to free Iran's oil. That meant more oil, lower prices. Now, oil prices are sparked again by political action in Jerusalem, in Lebanon, in Saudi Arabia that we don't control. How long that lasts for? You can't build an economy on those kind of things. But you can control your agri. You can control your mining. You can control your infrastructure.
So you think this administration, when he says it's open for business, is for real business and not for rent seeking?
I think clearly the numbers that you have seen in the last 12 months must tell you where this administration is, that it's going to walk this long talk. It's difficult, but it is the talk that stabilizes Nigeria so that in future, when oil money comes in the way it came in the last decade, there will be something to put it to. We didn't have anything to consciously put it to. So we just frittered it away. The same money we earned was the quality of money that the UAE earned. And they just put it to their rail. They put it to their tall buildings. They put it to a vision that was already running. So if that kind of money comes again, it will go to your infrastructure. It will reduce the annual deficit budget financed by borrowing. That's how economies work.
2018 is the penultimate year to election. How much of electioneering do you think will impact on all that you have on your inbox and your outbox?
Well, I think that that will be a function of the choice for Nigerians to look at the trends rather than the events. But I am here because I am concerned about the development of Nigeria. not about the next election. The development, enduring development of Nigeria is what drives my decision about power, what drives my decision about roads, and what drives my decision about housing. It's not how many houses you build. It's the program of housing that you leave behind, that maybe someday in my old age, I will remember and say, oh, it was that program we did 30 years ago. Just like the NHS, the housing program in the UK, like the pension fund, that has driven Nigeria's housing system to this. If it was about just build anything, we will show you the houses, but will people buy them? So we're being scientific and programmatic about what we're doing. The same thing with power. I can tell you something, but we're being scientific about. So I'm less concerned about development for election. I'm concerned about development for endurance, for Nigeria's sake.
The last time I had the opportunity of interviewing you, my last question to you was this, and I'm going to end on the same question. What books are you reading for leading the power, the works, and the housing ministry?
Well, I'm reading a lot of books at the moment. I'm reading a book called The Thirst for Power by Dr. Maxwell. I am rereading Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. I just finished Alex Ferguson's Leading, and I have Bolaji Abdullah's book on the last administration. I haven't started reading that. There are a couple of other books but I read my files first, and I find time to read some of these books.
Well, what makes Chinua Achebe Things Fall Apart very attractive to you to reread them again since you?
Well, some of the ways to learn is to relearn. Some of the ways by which I learn is to relearn what I think I already know. And you probably see an angle you probably didn't catch before when you approach it again after a long time.
It's nice talking with you, Honorable Minister. Thank you very much, and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Minister. Thank you. Thanks for speaking with Charles on Channels Television.